Hello, I'm Ollie and this is Criminally, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, trash. I've got some recommendations for you for the GarbAugust Wasted Weekend. So if you don't know, GarbAugust is an annual celebration of reading trashy books. So a reading event that takes place throughout the month of August every year, where we get together and read trashy books. So when we do GarbAugust, we tend to have like loads of prompts and theme weeks and things like that. And it can feel, I suspect for some people, a little bit overwhelming. So what we also do in February to mark the halfway point to the next GarbAugust is the Wasted Weekend, where for one weekend, rather than a whole month, we encourage people to read a trashy book. So just one book can be anything you like as long as it's trashy. And what do I mean by a trashy book? I mean a book that's kind of very, very commercial, that is designed to sell, that may have an eye-catching cover, that may, kind of push itself on the explicitness of its content. But yeah, a book that is fun to read, that is not literature, that is not high art, that is not going to get critics all excited, just the kind of book that is pure escapist entertainment. So, often that has come to mean for GarbAugust reading older books, reading kind of trashy vintage books from the 70s and 80s in particular. So, kind of paperbacks from hell and things like that. Which is great fun, can be really, really entertaining. And I've got some examples of the kind of books that are vintage books that people might read for GarbAugust. So something like Able Team Cairo Countdown by Dick Stivers, a men's adventure book. We've got Cherry Delight, Book 8, Hot Rocks by Glenn Chase, a saucy spy novel. We've got one of the Shell Scott mysteries, The Scrambled Yeggs by Richard S. Prather. It's a kind of vintage pulp mystery novel. We got The Witches, Book 3, The Torture by James Dark, a salacious horror novel from the 80s. So the thing that unites all of these books is that they are fairly obviously and transparently problematic in some way. So all of these covers have things on that are somewhat dubious, that you might not want to be seen reading on the bus. And that's often the case with these kind of older trashy books, is they have at least one piece of content, sometimes multiple themes and things like that, which are a little bit iffy, which to modern readers, are potentially offensive, or just, not the kind of thing you necessarily want to read. And those things can distract you from the enjoyment of the overall trashiness of the book. I'm definitely not saying that people shouldn't read books that have, kind of outdated, shall we say, content. I certainly read a lot of books like that. I think as long as you go into it with open eyes, it's fine. But also I'm conscious that a lot of people don't want to read books like that. They don't want to read books that may be sexist or homophobic or racist in some way, that have those kind of dated views from the 60s, 70s, 80s that we've moved on from, thankfully. So today I wanted to talk through a few recommendations for more recent books, which I think fit the GarbAugust Wasted Weekend theme really well. They're all relatively short. So all books you could probably get through in a weekend, and don't have some of the kind of dated baggage of books like these. So I've just got a few to go through with you today, a few of which I read last year for the GarbAugust Wasted Weekend. So the first of those is Killipede by Marek Z. Turner. So this is, as the title would suggest, a really fun killer animal book, so about killer centipedes in the UK. There's a property developer who's unscrupulous, as property developers in horror novels always are, and has disturbed this nest of killer centipedes that then take on the town. So just a fun, quick, horrific read. Really enjoyed that, and it is, as many of these books are, available on Kindle Unlimited. Next then, I've got a whole series of books to recommend that are on Kindle Unlimited. So I've only read a couple of these, but I really enjoyed the two that I've read. So the series is called Rewind or Die, and it's a series of kind of short novels or novellas, all horror, that kind of hark back to the kind of trashy VHS horror movies of the 80s. So very entertaining, the two that I've read. So the two that I've read were Transmuted by Eve Harms, which is about a trans woman trying to raise money to have like surgery to fully transition, and just about what happens to her when she gets involved with this unscrupulous doctor. So that was really, really entertaining. It goes absolutely crazy towards the end, so really over the top, really entertaining, but quite thought-provoking as well. The other one I've read from the series is Hairspray Switchblades by V. Castro. So just a fun book that kind of weaves in kind of folklore and things like that. It's got I think it's got some kind of a bit of a shift of romance element, lots of horror. It was a really entertaining read. So yeah, the Rewind or Die series, I think generally speaking, is a pretty good bet for GarbAugust, and again on Kindle Unlimited. Next up then, a modern men's adventure book. So I showed this Able Team book at the start. So Able Team, a spin-off from the Executioner series, a very well-known series of men's adventure books from the 70s about this guy, Mac Boland, going up against the mafia. There's a new publishing house called, I think, Point of Impact Books, who are like trying to recreate that kind of vibe. And I read one of their books last GarbAugust, Frenzy, The Mafia Massacre by R.J. Calder. So set in the 70s, but a modern book, so it doesn't have some of that 70s baggage, shall we say. Just a fun, violent men's adventure read. I had a really good time with it. Next up, one I haven't read, but I have heard good things about, so hopefully this will live up to expectations. I'm going to read it soon. I just got sent this copy by a subscriber very kindly. That is The Roo by Alan Baxter, a killer kangaroo book. So written by an Australian, set as you would expect in Australia. But yeah, it looks like a lot of fun, and I've heard good things about this. Another one I read for GarbAugust last year was The Mermaid of Venice by Jinsey Lumpkin. So there are a whole series of these books about a sexy, very rich kind of billionaire killer mermaid. They're really silly. They're quite saucy. They're a lot of fun. So yeah, very, very entertaining. Definitely recommend those. You could always dip into the vast back catalogue from Harlequin or Mills and Boon. So the publishers of category romances. So I've got a load of those on my shelves. Picked out this one. This is a Mills and Boon Heroes double with French Quarter Fatale and Protecting Colton's Baby. So the thing that I like about the Mills and Boon and Harlequin books, particularly the more recent ones, is they tend to have like really positive representation of their female characters, their heroines. I particularly like these ones. So in the UK, they're published under the Heroes line. In the States, I think it's the Intrigue line. So these are like romantic suspense novels. So you get a bit of a mystery, a bit of a kind of crime story, as well as the romance. So often like female cops or investigators. So really, really entertaining. I do like a Harlequin romance. Another one by V. Castro. So I mentioned V. Castro's Hairspray and Switchblades earlier on. She's also written an Aliens book. So books like this. So let me show you the book. So this is Aliens Vasquez, which is kind of the backstory, or partly the backstory, but also the story of the children of the character Vasquez from the movie Aliens. So a fun sci-fi horror book with a bit of kind of family drama, family saga type stuff woven into it. Really good kind of representation of Latinx and female characters. So just a fun ride. And V. Castro does that kind of thing really well, manages to wrap together like interesting representation of minority groups and things like that with just fun stories. And this counts as trash. So I'm saying this is a really good, really entertaining book. It counts as trash because it is a spin-off from another franchise, so a spin-off from the Aliens franchise. So this book wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the Aliens movies. So yes, a very, very enjoyable book. And I've also read fairly recently another Aliens book. So I read Aliens the Cold Forge, or Alien the Cold Forge rather, by Alex White, which was again had great representation in it, but was also just a bang up, really enjoyable sci-fi horror novel. And then finally, a cosy mystery. So I haven't read that many cosy mysteries, but they definitely fit into the kind of GarbAugust theme of being light, entertaining books, and often very formulaic, which is definitely a signature of trashy books. So one that I have is Enforcing the Paw by Diane Kelly, a canine mystery. So Diane Kelly, if I look at it, has written a series of these canine mysteries with titles like Paw Enforcement, Paw and Order, and so on. You get the gist. So this looks very cute, very fun. I'm hoping to read this soon. So hopefully that's given you a taster of some trashy books that don't necessarily have some of the problematic baggage of older vintage trashy books. Hopefully you've seen something that takes your fancy there. Do let me know in the comments if you've got any recommendations for other, more modern books that you think people might enjoy for the Wasted Weekend. Maybe we can get a nice list going in the comments on this video. So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments. And as always, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.